Hey folks, had some issues with the mic and the volume and stuff, so if you need to turn it up. I did. Anyway, so we got to play RQG tonight. We had everybody, though we had to start a little late because one of my players wasn't able to make it, and we did have one player who we weren't sure was going to be able to make it because the weather, knocked his power out and he flooded his basement, that kind of thing. But he was able to um, to hook in and run off the battery off his laptop, kind of thing. So anyway, before the session, we did some recap and just discussion of things and talked about. Oh, it turned out that Irvana, from a previous situation, had um, healing plants for the wasting disease as well. And so we used that to attempt to heal Miriam, but was not successful. What other discussions going on? Not a whole lot. And then the party started discussing about what are we going to do next. Well, we need to go and take care of the boar for Tarndisi, like we said. And that's on the way down. We'll see Tarndisi and see what happens. I reminded them a couple things about how Vasana and her group were sent to the Starfire Ridges to check out some stuff there, while they were sent to check with Tarndisi and then do the Thunder Hills thing. So they should understand that the dragon may be in one of these two places. And asked them, did Tarndisi discuss anything about what she knew about the dragon? Because she had talked about this. She knew who this person was, creature, being, and that she may know some more if you want to go and talk to her again. So anyway, I'm not sure at what point the live play started, but I was able to record this time. It had to do with when I downloaded the latest version of Debut. It's a newer version, which I don't have, and it was a demo kind of thing, so maybe that's how the issues were. So I downloaded the older version, and it did seem to capture everything fine. So live play in the description. Let's see. So they finally got around to getting to the boar, and there was a lot of discussion about how to handle this thing, and first trying to find it, right? So they're wandering around, and again, Miriam and Jarstakos. Oh, excuse me. Get those special successes to find the thing. So they found a little oxbow kind of area, a hollow where the boar hangs out. There's a tree up against one side of the hollow that it seems to like, so I just put it there. I have some problems with the sizing in Owlbear. Used to be able to adjust fairly concisely, but for some reason it was jumping from 3 foot to 6 foot, and so it was wide enough but too long. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to see if I can't play with that. Well, I don't need to anymore because they took care of it. But so they find this hollow. It stinks down here. It must be here somewhere, and so they move around to the front. It made it smell enemies thing, so it comes tearing out, trying to chase them away, and they ran. So they were on the chariot, and it goes faster than the boar does. Although the boar would be more maneuverable through the forest. I didn't want to do a chase thing, so I just you outdistance it. It gets away. It goes back to his thing, but it knows there's bad guys in town, kind of thing. So it's hiding somewhere else, waiting for them to come back. They finally eventually get everybody together and start making plans. And Irvana casts Sacred Area and then casts Divination. How can we get rid of the boar? That wasn't the words they used. I forgot what it was. I had to keep going back to, because they're all throwing in different things and going, what is your simple question? What is your simple question? And it boiled down to how do we get rid of the boar kind of thing. And she had a vision of the boar falling into essentially a large earth elemental and getting swallowed up, sent back to Ronaldo, right back to the earth. And so they start discussing how they can do, where they want to set up the earth elemental. Nirvana's got to meditate for like 5 minutes, whatever, to get a bunch of bonus points, make sure she can cast it correctly. And everybody's kind of off in one area. And they're going to have, they cast mobility on Arestra, and she goes down into the bowl as bait, and then she's going to run back across, hoping that the boar chases her and then gets caught in the elemental. And it was mentioned about going towards the center, and so I had to at a point go, okay, we're talking about the center of the bowl or the center of the area from there's two low points, right, where traffic can come in and out fairly well, though the board didn't. The board just went up and down the sides, kind of an oxbow thing, right? And, it appears where the boar was hiding out when they first ran into it. So she starts hitting this. They're moving their character, right? No, we're not there yet. We're just talking about where you're trying to head, because you are down here, and if you're moving this direction, I need to know where you're going to be after 3 hexes, because that's when the boar is going to sense you and come tearing out. Okay. So we get through that piece, and then, okay, so the boar senses her. He pops out. New round, statements of intent. Earth Elemental gets cast. The meditation roll gets made. Earth Elemental cast. And people are moving around, and Arestra's running. So she's doing 6 hexes because she's got mobility, moving twice as fast, right? So there's 3 hexes per strike rank is 6. It's only moving 3 per strike rank. So eventually she get out of the way, and she does. She's way past it, and it's coming through, and it gets to the draw, and it's coming up. It's chasing Arestra. So that's who it wants to get. But it says there's other folks up here too. So it kind of is thinking, okay, I'm going to nail Arestra and then turn on these other folks. And of course, that's when it runs into the Earth Elemental. And my elementals are a little different than the way they describe them in the bestiary. A couple things. First, to me, elementals are spirits, and therefore it takes magical damage to do damage to the elemental. You can't just kick a fire elemental till it's dead, right? And when you're talking about small elementals, that's significant because they don't have a lot of hit points. A single hit from a broadsword with a damage bonus and they're out. Really? So that's how I interpret. Okay, elementals are tougher than that. This is how it does. A second piece to that is all of my elementals are created essentially the same. All small elementals are a cubic meter, essentially. They're 1 hex and 3 feet tall. Medium elementals are 3 hexes on the surface and 2 hexes either tall or, for earth elementals, deep. So that's 6 feet deep. Large elementals, for air elementals it's up, but elementals, it's not like you reach to the top and you drop. They throw you up and down, so I have no problems with that working out. Large elementals are a mega hex, so that's 7 hexes in a circle, right? And then that's 3 meters deep. That's 10 feet. So that's going to suck up this boar, I think, which is 3 across, 3 deep, 3 hexes, 2 across, 2 deep. See how that all works out? 1 across, 1 deep. The math is all there, and I just treat it that way. Now it says that it can suck up to his volume, which for in the book is 10 cubic meters. I'm just looking at 10 feet across, 10 feet down. It's going to fall in there, even if bands or whatever, right? But and it took damage. I had Ravana roll damage, but it's got this husky's form, right? It doesn't take a lot of damage, so it took a few points of damage to every location. Sure, every location, but it's trying to get out. And it's got a 38 strength or 36 strength, 38 strength. And the elementals I had to roll only has a 30 strength. So that's only like a 10% chance of the elemental holding on to the boar, and it doesn't. So next, and that's something I actually, you'll notice that there's a little delay at place where I'm reading through the elemental stuff, trying because fire elementals we're used to because I've all of my con games have got Vostor in them, and people like throwing fire elementals around. So fire elemental does damage on strike rank 12 at the end of the round. Well, do air elementals go at the end of the round? Do earth elementals go at the round? Do water elementals do damage at the end of the round? Is that kind of a mechanic we need to keep the same? But if somebody's tromping through an earth elemental, it's going to fall down when it falls down, and that's when it's going to crush, right? So yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that. I'm actually thinking that the fire elemental doesn't need to stay. The person doesn't need to stay in the fire elemental the entire round. It's just fire elemental. At any point you go through a fire elemental, or a fire elemental goes through you, you roll the damage. That's what I'm kind of thinking. But anyway, back to the earth elemental. It goes down, takes a few points of damage, and it's trying to get out, and it gets out. And at that point, Arrestra had kind of stopped as well and was turning back, getting ready to fight. And Jarstakos was prepping up for a fight. He did Earth Shield on his shield, and then he moves forward, and it comes out. So that's strike rank 2 when it gets out, because I had strike rank 1 is to do is get it out. Make the rolls, it came out. So 1 hex of movement, strike rank 2. Strike rank 4 for his gore attack, so on 6 is when he attacked. And he gores Arrestra, is successful. She does her parry, but he does like 26 points of damage. Her shield stops 16. Another rule, I don't like shields exploding. Taking damage, yeah, but they gotta freaking last. And weapons for that matter too. So it does more than 16 points of damage, to 26, right? So you take 16 off, leaves 10 points left. 1 point goes into the shield, dropping it down to 15. That leaves 9 points left. Conservation of energy, right? 9 points go through to her arm. She's got 6 points of armor. 3 points to her arm. Her arm has 4, so it goes down to 1. That's how the math all worked, right? Juchi, wants to be involved as well, and of course everybody wants to be involved. I mean, and there's combat, so somebody made a comment, hey, come down this direction, that we get the whole length of the boar. Although the boar at this point is actually in the ground, although it's trying to climb out. So I'm not sure how it would handle that exactly, because the earth is all pulverized at this point because it did damage. But he fired, got into the head. Aresta hacks it with her axe in the head, and the impale to the head, and the slash to the head, both of those put the head down to 0, which puts it unconscious, and it slumps back down into the earth elemental, unconscious, and will suffocate. They decide just leave it there, back to Mother Earth or Nalda, right? I thought it was very poetic. I had no issues with that at all. Somebody did make a joke about, hey, spit the tusks out, because they're silver. But that's how we left that, right? Okay, I figured out time and distance. They get the Black Spirit after nightfall, so it's late. They get there, they give the clan head roll reactions. It was a 10 out of 12. Very positive. Hey, you guys are back. What have you been doing? What's happening? Why are you coming through? They throw a little party. They get to stay with the clan chieftain's house or longhouse, that kind of thing. And the kids are all asking all kinds of questions about their adventures and things. Oh, you're chasing the dragon. Chasing the dragon. Of course, the adults are going, hey, you guys really chasing the dragon? And then they ask, because they say, well, this guy actually has seen it out over in the other clan's lands over by famous Farjow, right? And that's how the Thunder Ridge Hills. So it's about this location is where it seems to be. And then the next morning they go return to Disney's Grove, roll my d6, 3 rolls, like 3 successful successes through of searching or tracking can get you to where the Grove again. Trying to get around to why did it take longer this time last time? I don't know. But they get there. The elves are at the top of the hill. They welcome them, bring them in. As soon as they break the circle of the redwoods, Tarndisi comes out, and welcome back so soon. What's been happening? Did you get what you needed? That kind of stuff. Come sit. And Juchi is trying to do conversation. Being very thankful to her about this kind of stuff, about taking her time to be with us and discussing things. And we did take care of the boar, and she asked about how they did that, and talked about how quaint, an interesting way to do that. Nice, interesting, very 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 nice. And he told it was my ideas, my friend's ideas, and we all did it together, and all this kind of stuff. We did have to hurt it. We didn't want to kill it, but we ended up trying to do that because that's how things ended up being. And so lots of conversation going on. They finally get back a couple times to the dragon. It's not that she was purposefully um, not answering dragon questions, so much as I was catching some of the stuff they're talking about that would be of interest, and so went down that path, trying to come back to the dragon, back to the dragon, back to the dragon. Um, and there was some discussion about her, about what she could be doing, about why she's doing what she's doing, and the nature of dream dragons, that kind of thing. And at that point, we were hitting almost midnight, and Jarsteko's player said, "Hey, my laptop's running out on his battery. Good time to stop." Yeah, that is a perfect time to stop. We'll just start next time with, okay, we're Tardizzy Grove talking with Tardizzy. What more questions do you want to ask? So all in all, it was a good session. Went fairly well. There were some blank spots I'm trying to figure out, especially with this elemental, on how and when elementals attack, and is it going to be able to suck up this? It's a size 52, I think it was. It says the size of a mammoth. By 10 foot by 10 foot, should be big enough to suck it up. And of course, it's going to try to not get sucked up. And after it crushes, it's just pulverized dirt now, so it's just going to swim out if it can. But then the element's going to hold on to it. It only had a strength of 30. Had them roll that as things happen. Miriam did the second sight on it. What's his power? So I had them roll the power. Only roll for what you need, right? But they threw up a bunch of magic initially just to protect themselves, that kind of stuff. Which, if the boar, well, they get through it, but I got hit twice in the head in one melee round with some significant damage because it had a lot of armor in the head. Yeah, so it is what it is. They burned a lot of magic points. In fact, they even burned a bunch of rune points. The Earth Shield, that's 3 rune points, right? But it is what it is. All in all, good session. Happy gaming.